It seems like the show that is so perfect for fall and Halloween season is Over the Garden Wall. Now, it's a really short series. You could probably watch the whole thing in about a 2-hour span. But it's so unique in the fact that you don't see series that short for kids' animation, and I think that's a really cool experiment. I'd like to see more of that, especially if they're going to be this good and this succinct. I find it, when I watch it, and I've watched it a couple times, and I plan on watching it again because it's so perfect for this time of year, I think it's like reading a really good ghost story / fairy tale. And a lot of fairy tales are creepy, especially from Germany. Grew up on those ones. But I like that it kind of encompasses a lot of early 20th century, but then you get there's a bit of an older feel to it, which I think is really cool. I like that. And there's a bit of an uncomfortableness, especially at the first few episodes. And not just for the audience, for the characters too, which is intentional, and it works really, really well. Because you're not sure what this environment is, you're not sure if who you come across is threatening or not. And sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. I really like it. It's the imagery of the pumpkins and the frogs and the music. It's really nice, calming, but also kind of spooky music. Generally speaking of the two brothers, I like Wirt more. I like those kinds of characters. I tend to like the smart, rational, awkward types. Now, I like nerds a lot, so in fiction, in real life. Whereas I think my personality is much closer to Greg, so I don't really deviate to that as much in fiction. In fiction, I tend to like characters that it's like some characters, if they get some fundamental things about me, I tend to like-minded characters. But a lot of other times, I tend to like characters who are the opposite of me. I tend to like these introverted, awkward, thoughtful people. I find them interesting. I like the smart people a lot. And that's been true for a lot of characters. I like Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls. I like Velma from Scooby-Doo. Dipper from Gravity Falls, I tend to like his stories more than Mabel because I like the codes and I like figuring things out and I like seeing how that mind works. Same thing here. I like Wirt. Even though Greg is the one who gets the characters both in and out of trouble. It's a character trope I tend to get annoyed with more easily. But then you do find that Greg actually does save the day at times, which is, first time around, it's a shock for someone like me too, because I would probably be more like Wirt in a situation like that, where I'd be more cautious, and I'd probably try to rationalize things, because honestly, for me, that's worked. Not dead yet. And the use of sound and the incredible details on the show is something so great. It definitely has the start of a horror movie because you get these kids playing in a graveyard and something goes wrong. It has some of those elements. It has elements from the old but also the new, because you see the teens in a graveyard. That feels like the start of a slasher film, even though, of course, they'd never do that. But I like the big ideas they come up with, especially towards the end. I think the ending is my favorite part of Over the Garden Wall. With the beast and what it's building up to, and Wirt's confrontation with him. I like what becomes of Beatrice, too. I really like Beatrice. I like birds. And it is cool to see she is their guide to this world, but you don't really know whose side she's on, at least at first. And I like the relationships of these characters. I like that they have come to genuinely like and respect each other. And I like that they bond. It it also has a bit of a connection to the Divine Comedy, I think, especially with the Bluebird being Beatrice. She's showing them around. It's similar to how Beatrice is showing Dante around hell. So, I'm sure Patrick McHale read Dante, the Divine Comedy. It's cool, especially when you... It's cool for all the cool, creepy imagery. It's cool for all this history. It feels like you can really look into different elements and learn something, whether it's architecture, like in one episode, which comes into play, or 1930s creepy animation, which has its own sequence in it. There's so much artistic marvel to it, and in the writing too. That's probably gonna, and it's the perfect thing to kick off a month of talking about cool Halloween stuff. I'm gonna rewatch that.